Hello, welcome to Pragim Technologies. I'm Venkat. This is part 46. In this part, we will see how to use enum in an example and the advantages of doing so. In part 45, we have written a very simple program. There were a set of related numbers basically to describe 0 for unknown, 1 for male, and 2 for female. And the program was less readable there because we are using these integers. Okay, how do I know what does one mean? Is mark male or female? Unless and until I drag down and look at the documentation, I will not know that. This is a very simple program. We just have one, you know, which is using set of related numbers, but in reality, in your application, there will be hundreds and hundreds of related numbers, and it becomes extremely complex if you rely on these integral numbers. Program becomes unreadable, it becomes unmaintainable over a period of time. Okay, how do we make this readable? To make this readable, you can make use of enums. Okay, so let's see how to replace that. Now, just like I have created this keyword, to create an enum, you use the enum keyword. And by the way, are value types. We will concepts related to enums in a later session, but in this session, we will look at an example of using enums and replace these integrated numbers using that enum. Okay, enum for and to do that we use the enum keyword enum, and let's call that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, my enum is going to be known, and then male, and then female. All we've done is created these three entries. So create an enum using the enum keyword, male, female. So we are done creating the enum. Now let's see how in our sample program. Okay, now in this program, what you can basically do, okay, before we modify this method, actually modify the class itself. Now instead of saying the customer class gender as integer, we will say this is going gender. All right, that's the first change. And the next change is in this method. Okay, so instead of passing in integer, we will pass in the enum now, gender. And then this is switching on the gender type enum. Okay, so now here instead of saying 0, what you can basically do is you can use your gender and say gender dot unknown. Now look at it, it becomes more readable. Okay, this is whatever code that goes in here is for unknown gender. Initially it was 1, 2 and 0. 0 means what? Is it for male or female or for unknown? We didn't have that readability there. And similarly for case 1, we will say gender dot male. And look at this, the best part is you get IntelliSense as well. So male, and similarly gender dot female, and we will leave the default there. Okay, so this is the second change. And the third change is in your customer object itself. Now we know that in this customer object, this gender is actually an enum. And look at this. Okay, what is Mark's gender? If he is a male, instead of, okay, what is the value for male? Is it 1, 0, 2, or 3, or 4? Instead of referring back to the values, what you can do, okay, it uses gender. So gender dot male. Okay, and if you hover your mouse over that, you will say customer dot gender property is of type gender. You can see that on the left hand side. Similarly, if I hover over here, my customer dot name property is of string type. Gender is of type gender enum. Now if you're not sure, you can actually right click, go to definition. Okay, gender, look at this, name is of type string, gender is of type gender enum. And if you want to look at the values, you can just click, right click, go to definition, and you can see unknown male, female. Okay, so now let's go and change it here. So Mary is a female, so I can say gender dot female. And here Sam, gender is unknown, so we'll say gender dot unknown. And by the way, look at this, just like how we have For example, in our, this is the symbol for an enum. It's like a postcard over a postcard. um, this is a symbol for enum. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Just by looking at, when you press dot, in the IntelliSense, you can actually tell by the symbol, is it a class, is it an interface, or is it an enum. All right, so we are done now. So our program is actually more readable. Okay, now by looking at this, you can say, okay, Mark is male, Mary is female, and Sam's gender is unknown. And even your switch statement here is now more readable. Okay, now if we run the program, the output doesn't change in any way, except that we have restructured our program using enums, which made this program more readable and more maintainable. Even if if the complexity of your application grows, and if you keep adding more enums, it is still going to be more readable and more maintainable. And actually, within the .NET framework itself, there are several enums. For example, if you look at the system.io namespace, within system.io namespace, you have, for example, file share. Let's say, for example, the program has already opened a file, and if you want to open the file again, what kind of, you know, share permissions you want to have? Okay, do you want to open it in read-only mode, read-write, or write mode? If these are just numbers, then it becomes extremely complex to remember, okay, what is it for read, and what is the number for write, or what is the number for delete. Okay, so using enums definitely makes your program more readable. Okay, now we have just spoken about why enums are required and what are the problems enums solve. It makes your program more readable and more maintainable, but we haven't spoken the concepts related to enums, which we will actually be doing in the next session. Okay, we will be talking about, the different things that you can do, converting an enum into an underlying type, and similarly converting the underlying types back to enums, trying to assign the values of one enum to another enum, listing all the values of an enum, etc., which we'll be doing in the next session. On this slide, you can find resources for ASP.NET and C# interview questions. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.